Hello and welcome back to my very, very chilly craft room. I've actually given in and put the heating on today. It's so cold here in Norfolk today. It's lunchtime and there's still ice and frost on the ground, and I can hardly feel my fingers. I would have my little electric blanket on. I've got a little electric lap blanket, but I'm going to be doing something very messy, so I don't dare. So I've actually given in and put the heating on, but I'm still cold. I hope wherever you are, you're staying warm and cosy. If you're watching from the other side of the world, you're in the middle of your summer, which I find it's amazing how the internet has made the world so much a smaller place, and how we're able to connect with people on the other side of the world who are in the middle of there. So some of my online arty-farty friends in Australia and New Zealand are in their summer now. It's just mind-blowing. I'm just taking on board the fact that December starts tomorrow, which means I need to think about Christmas. Anyway, enough waffle on. What I'm planning to do today is get into my Scaller box. This is Scaller box number 99. We've got a big one, number 100 coming up. There's been hints that there's going to be something a bit special for the 100th box. And I've been having Scaller box since, it's about 5 years now or more. Since the early days, I think. Yeah, love it. So Scaller box is a monthly art subscription box, if you don't know about it already. Box full of mystery art supplies, but they're all curated to work together. If you've got no other art supplies, there's everything you need there to get started on creating something. But if, like me, you've got a room full of art supplies, it's still fun because it makes you try something different. Now, this box this month is right up my street, but I know the supplies in here are a little bit challenging for some people, for various reasons. Let me show you. I'm hoping today I'm going to try a couple of things that might make it a bit easier to get in and have a go and do something with them. I don't know, it's just an experiment, so we'll see. I thought I'd take you along. I'm not going to be doing the challenge, at least I don't think I'll be doing the challenge today. I've got some ideas about what I want to do with that. I just wanted to have a really, really good play with the supplies today, just to see what can be done. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so this is what we got in the box. I won't go all through it because I've done that already in my unboxing, and so have lots of other people. This is the beautiful featured artist's work. You always get an art print in the box. Now, someone pointed out to me, because I was saying, why is she called DUST? And then someone pointed out, if these are the supplies that she always uses, maybe you pronounce it Dusty. I thought, oh, how clever. You see, I'm a bit thick about things like that. That might make sense. Got this Derwent white pastel pencil, and this gives me a little bit of the feeling that some of my friends find with the main supplies. This set motif on edge feeling. We've got putty rubber, Faber Castell. We've got a little blender which I've already trashed, but you can wash these, and it's a really nice quality one. It's not one of those cheap foamy spongy makeup ones. It's one of those nice ones. Excuse me sounding a bit bunged up today. I haven't actually got a cold. I don't know what it is, but I refuse to call it a cold. 2B pencil, another, I think it's a gold Faber one. And this is the main star of the show. We've got a pad full of pastel paper. Here's the sticker. You always get a sticker. Got quite a collection of those now. They tend to get stuck on the front of art journals and things. Box out the way and let's have a look at the main supplies. There we go. I'm going to put all of that out of the way. It's this beautiful box full of mini soft pastels by Faber Castell. So they're about half the length of your normal stick that you would see, but which is really great because I tend to break them in half anyway, to be honest. I find them easier to handle, and I like using the sharp edges for getting lines and things, so I will tend to break them up anyway. And of course this means we've got more colours. Look at that range of colours, absolutely beautiful. Now the problem with these is they do get messy. You get very messy hands. I have got on my lap, and one of the reasons why I haven't got my electric blanket over my knees today is because these will make a mess, and I am a messy person anyway. So I've got this rag handy, and I will put that over my lap ready to wipe the hands and things on. The other part of it is for people with certain sensory issues, and I get it a little bit. I mean, just running my hand over it there, it's just slightly, certainly if I do that with this pencil here. So I totally understand where people with those kind of sensitivity issues are coming from. I have those issues with certain things as well. With these, because they're so soft, I can cope with these, but I cope with them better on certain surfaces as well. Anyway, what I'm going to do is experiment with a few different ways of using them, hopefully including some where you won't really have to touch them too much at all, and you won't have to kind of put them directly to the paper, which is partly what sets people's teeth on edge. So I don't know, it's a bit of an experiment. Tried some of these things, sort of half tried some of these things over the years, but not really fully. So let's have a go. I'm probably going to just go into quiet mode now while I play and do a bit of a voiceover. I think it's going to be the best way to do this. I've got a few other things handy. I've got some of these little hard brushes which I got these as a bargain. I've got a whole pack of them. There's some more there as well. These are deco patch ones for doing, you know, like napkin decoupage and things like that. They're quite a stiff short bristle. I've got those. I've got a stash of these somewhere, but I couldn't find them. So I got these out, which Hannah very kindly, it was in that beautiful parcel that Hannah sent me. So these, the intention was that I would use these for distress inks, which she also sent me a lovely stack of. So some of these will have colour in, so I won't use the ones that got colour in, I'll use the new ones. And there's a couple of these tools. You just do this with it, but you could just as well use get a cheap pack of makeup sponges from the pound shop or whatever, would do the job just as well. But this is nice and handy. Or if I don't use this, I might even just end up going in like this. So I've got those. I will be using those. I've got this brush. I tend to use brushing crumbs away rather than rubbing my hand over if I need to. Although you've got to be careful not to smudge it over your work. Sometimes it's better just to tap, tap, tap. I've got some other brushes as well. So some of these have come in previous Scaller boxes. Some of them came in that lovely box that Bibi sent me, Barbara Brady. There's a Scaller box one. It doesn't look like I've used it actually. So I've got just a mixture of sizes and shapes there. Water spray that we got in last month's Scaller box, mug of water there as well, couple of stencils and a rubber stamp that I've used. A bit the worse for wear because I've used it with acrylic paints and things and not been very careful with it. So those are all the things I've got to play with. I will be seeing what I can do with a kneaded eraser, because I've used kneaded erasers before to lift colour, to lift pastels off, but I've heard that one of my friends has tried this already and it didn't work very well. So we'll see. It might be that it works better on certain kinds of paper. I don't know, but I'm going to have a go anyway. So that is it. I'm just going to go in and start playing now and maybe do a voiceover. And then once I've had a good old play with all the different effects you can get, then I'll come back and do the challenge. Because I've got some very definite ideas in my head, but I need to get my head around it first. This was just where I swatched the colours the other day and then kind of just started blending them in. I think I just blended them in with my finger in the end. I can't remember now. Oh no, I probably just used, that's why this got so grotty. I should have washed this ready so that I could use it again today, but shutting up now, going in. Here we go then. So the first thing I'm going to do is just apply the pastel straight to the paper, and then I'm having a go at blending it with one of those kind of stiff brushes just to see how that works, and it works pretty well at getting the colour kind of into the grain of the paper. Then I'm trying just taking the pigment off the pastel stick with various brushes. Didn't work too well. Now I'm putting just some clean water, just plain water, on the paper and applying the pastel over that, and you get a more intense colour. And now just trying activating dry pastel with the brush, with the wet brush, and then applying the wet brush straight to the stick. And I think that's really nice. It gets away from that horrible icky feeling. So I think if you left them in the box and used them that way, you wouldn't have to touch them at all. This was just trying wet in wet. That didn't make an awful lot of difference. And now I'm just trying scraping some pigment off with a little blade, which worked really well, but I think that would definitely set your teeth on edge if you've got those sensory issues. But it did make a nice intense colour. Now I've got a stencil out and I'm having a go at just using one of those sponges and just taking the colour from the stick straight to the paper. It didn't work very well. So now I've dampened the sponge and that worked much, much better. Really liked this effect. Now I'm just rubbing the dry pastel over the stencil and then a damp sponge, and that I liked best of all. Really enjoyed that, but it does still have that feel. You've got to hold the pastel so it doesn't get away from that. This is applying the pastel dry to a rubber stamp and then pressing it down onto damp paper which it doesn't come out clear, but it's a really interesting effect. It reminds me a bit of some of the things I get with jelly printing and such like. Now I've spritzed the dry pastel on the rubber stamp before pressing it down, and again quite an interesting effect, slightly clearer image. Okay, going on to a clean piece of paper now, and I'm just going with the sponge straight to that bright pink, and that came out quite well, nice sort of soft effect, but it would be definitely an icky feeling if you don't like these, because the sponge on the paper as well has that same kind of a feeling. Applying it that way through the stencil with those different shades of pink. I definitely enjoy this, putting the dry pastel onto the stencil and then activating it with a damp sponge. I love that effect. I definitely will be doing more of that, but that wouldn't work so well for the people with sensory issues. This is the damp sponge again, and the colours blended together there to create that lovely purple. There I just thought I'd see what happened if I'd put a clean damp sponge over the top. Nothing much really. This one is damp sponge again onto the pastel. Just doing more of the same really to experiment with the different colours. And now I'm just seeing if that pastel stick that got quite wet, I was just seeing if it's okay still, if it's done any harm, and it doesn't seem to have. And I'm trying blending with different brushes there, just to see how they work. Just rubbing my finger over the now dry pastel that I'd activated with water to see if it stays put, and it does. It seems to have fixed it, which is interesting. Now I'm having a go at just kind of sketching with one of the pastel sticks, using the edge of it to get a thinner line. Just sketching out a rough eye shape, and then just using various colours, trying them out. And I'm just now going to have a go at different ways of blending them straight on the paper. Of course, this would not work for people who really can't stand to handle the pastels because of sensory issues again. So I'm trying there a cotton bud to blend them with, and it works quite well, but it does definitely have a feeling on the paper for sure. The combination of the cotton wool thing and the pastel thing. Now I'm trying activating it with water to create a sort of underpainting. And I really enjoyed this. I will definitely be doing more of this. So I'm just, everything that I've done already, I'm activating with clear water. So now, once it's kind of dry, I'm going back in with dry pastels to add more intensity. And any moment now, the doorbell's going to ring. It was the postman bringing me another parcel. Ooh. So I'm just carrying on here, just adding layers of colour. I found that with the tooth of the paper, you could layer up quite a bit with these pastels. They went over the top of each other. Even lighter colours over darker worked really well. I'm just using... Oh, I'm trying out the... pastel pencil here, and I found this quite difficult to use, this set motif on edge, I have to say. But it did work really well for just adding really little delicate bits of highlights. Now I'm trying out the putty rubber to see how that works. It seems to do quite a good job of just sort of cleaning up a bit there, and then I've kneaded it into a point. You do have to keep kneading it again and again to clean it up before you go back in again. I had to keep re-kneading it, and so with a little point I was able to take out small lighter areas. It won't necessarily take it right back to clean paper if there's a lot of pigment on there, but it did a pretty good job of just sort of lightening it up. So a bit of a close, you can see where the eyelashes and the highlights there. Lovely for cleaning your hands off too. That's what I'm doing there, it works really well for that. So here now I'm just trying some of that purple pastel to see, yeah, and with the blue I'm just blending it in a bit to see how well the eraser will then work over the top of it, because I want to be able to take clouds out of a blue sky, so I need to know that I can lift enough of this colour to do that. Yeah, that seems to be working pretty well. Again, I have to keep re-kneading it and going back in again, and there I'm just seeing how well it will clean up and it's done a pretty good job. Right, well, that's a rubbish eye. Needs work, but it was really good fun having a good old go with these pastels. and how they blend and everything. I quite liked putting them on, like doing a water activated layer, base layer, and then going over the top. I think it was Paula, was it you, Paula, if you're watching, in New Zealand, who said a friend of hers does that, where she uses it kind of water activated as the underpainting, as a kind of base layer, and then adds the details over the top. So yeah, and then you can kind of intensify it by applying it direct to paper, and then finally end up with, you can get quite detailed lines. Well, not detailed, but you know, quite thin lines if you use the corners of them. I enjoyed using them with water. I really liked this. I liked this effect here with the stencil. Really enjoyed that. I do enjoy this as well. But I would say that overall, if you've got sensitivity issues with them, just avoid touching them with your hands altogether and just use them with water and a brush, as if it was a palette of water paints. I think if you really can't bear to touch them, but you want to still find a way to use them, I think that works pretty well. I really quite enjoyed it. It was nice that I was able to build up so many layers. This paper's got so much tooth to it. I was able to build up a lot of layers before it finally got to a point where it was going, no, I'm not going to do any more of that now. Let's get my messy thumbnail. That one's too curly, it's not going to work. I think to do the challenge, I can't stand working on paper this small. It just makes me feel really kind of cramped, and I just can't do it. I don't want that eye in my thumbnail. Let's let it peep out. There, looks way better like that. I think that's enough for play for now. I'm ready to go into my challenge piece now, but I'm going to do that in a separate video because I don't want this to get too long. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you found that useful, especially maybe if you're one of those people that don't really like touching pastels and stuff for various reasons. I do totally appreciate that, because I do have issues like that with other things. I would recommend definitely try just using them with water and not touching them at all. Okay, that's it for me. I'm going to I don't know which thing I'm going to do next, but I will be back very soon. I've got so many projects on the go, so many different kinds of things I like to do. It's lovely, it's lots of fun, but gets a bit bewildering sometimes. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you again really soon.